Have you ever wondered what would happen if Sasuke was born an Uzumaki instead of an Uchiha? Just how powerful would he be? Would he still turn to the dark side? And how would he change the entire storyline? Well, let's find out. But first, we must explain how this would even happen in the first place. Well, Sasuke is born, but not to the Uchiha clan, but to an Uzumaki household in a village called Kusakakure, also known as the Hidden Village in the Grass. Here, he has his only parent, his mom, who happens to be an Uzumaki. Because of his Uzumaki genetics, Sasuke's hair would end up being red. Sasuke would grow up in the village and would end up being friends with Karin in this version of the story, who, just like in the original timeline, stayed in Kusakakure with her mother. By the time Sasuke turns 5, he begins to see the dark side of the Kusakakure village. You see, the Uzumaki clan from Kusakakure has a very unique ability. Not only can they detect chakra from long distances, they can heal others instantly by letting them bite them and consume their chakra. This technique restores critical injuries and stamina, but is exhausted and leaves permanent, visible bite marks on their body. Because of this rare ability, both Sasuke and Karin's moms are used as living medical supplies, bitten and drained of their chakra by grass shinobi until their life force simply gives out. Sasuke's childhood is shattered not by a singular clan massacre like in the original timeline, but by systematic exploitation. Watching his mom die a slow, agonizing death triggers the Uchiha curse of hatred. The intense trauma forces his Uchiha genetics to react, awakening the One Tomoe Sharingan. Now you're probably wondering, how is this even possible? Well, while Sasuke was born in Uzumaki, he was actually born from an Uchiha father. You see, during a period of immense clan strain, Fugaku, who was Sasuke's dad from the original timeline, sought solace in an Uzumaki refugee. She got pregnant and had a child named Sasuke. When the reality of the affair and the baby set in, Fugaku's pride and the clan's pristine image demanded a cover-up. Rather than executing them and causing a scandal, Fugaku had the Uzumaki mother and infant Sasuke secretly banished to Kusakakure, expecting them to perish. Meanwhile, Fugaku stayed in the leaf with his wife Mikoto, burying the truth in the process. This means that Sasuke, while being an Uzumaki, still possesses traits from his Uchiha lineage. After awakening his Sharingan, Sasuke passes out. Considering he and Karin are the only survivors left, they are transported to be used as medical tools to heal the village's shinobis. Because of them being orphans and bound by shared trauma, they become fiercely protective of one another. Sasuke adopts a cold, ruthless exterior to the world, but behind closed doors, he promises to ensure he protects Karin and ensure she never ends up being a tool again. Their bond in this timeline is different from what was in the original timeline. Things go pretty much the same, with both Karin and Sasuke ending up being lab rats, until one day when the grass village burns in a separate conflict, leading to the destruction of the village. Sasuke and Karin, seeing this as an opportunity, eventually escape. On their journey, they would be harassed by a group of men who recognize their Uzumaki lineage. They plan to capture them and sell them on the underground market as a slave or a living medicine. However, during one of his travels, Orochimaru notices this, intervenes, and kills the men. He then offers them protection by bringing them to Otagakure. However, it is during this time that Orochimaru realizes that he just hit the jackpot. He recognizes Karin's pure Uzumaki healing, and Sasuke not only being an Uzumaki, but having the eyes of the Uchiha clan. His interest in Sasuke is even more glaring than in the original timeline. However, he decides to lay low for the meantime, ensuring to train Sasuke secretly while planning to take over his body when the time is right. Years pass, and Sasuke is inducted into Orochimaru's elite guard, alongside Kimimaro, Tayuya, Hidomaru, Jirobo, Sakon, and Ukon, forming the Sound Six. They become a terrifying Black Ops unit. Now, just like before, the Uchiha massacre still happens. Itachi spares no one in Konoha, and without a little brother in the leaf to protect, Itachi wipes out the entire clan to ensure no curse of hatred remains to threaten the village. But just before the Uchiha massacre, Itachi eventually uncovered the truth about his half-brother Sasuke. Every time he took an Anbu mission near the grass border, the revelation that Sasuke was his half-brother changed everything for Itachi. During his Anbu missions along the grass border, he made it a point to secretly watch over him. Sometimes, the urge to connect was too strong. He would step into the open, playing with Sasuke and offering a gentle poke to his forehead. But reality always caught up with him. Knowing that any real bond could endanger them both, Itachi would cast a genjutsu to erase Sasuke's memories of their time together. It was a torturous secret to keep, especially as he watched the grass shinobi slowly bleed Sasuke's parents dry. Bound as an Anbu captain under Danzo's strict orders, exposing himself meant starting a war. The most he could do was occasionally bring food for Sasuke, ensuring he was well fed from the shadows. After massacring his clan, Itachi returns to the village to secure his brother, only to realize that Sasuke was nowhere to be found. He's already been taken in by Orochimaru. Itachi would eventually join the Akatsuki, but unlike the original, it wouldn't be to watch Obito. It would be to amass enough power and leverage to eventually rip his brother away from Orochimaru's grasp. Once Sasuke turns 12 years old, he would have the cursed mark placed on his neck by Orochimaru, just like in the original timeline. Here, Sasuke would eventually go on a solo mission back to Kusakakure, planning to slaughter the elders and shinobi who worked his mom to death. Before reaching the village though, he is met by his brother Itachi. The moment they lock eyes, Itachi uses genjutsu to torment Sasuke, creating secret fake illusions to make it seem like he was the reason for all of Sasuke's pain and suffering. Just like in the original timeline, he does this to prepare Sasuke for the cruel world ahead. Before leaving, he tells Sasuke where to find him when he's strong enough and ready to take him down. This, just like in the original timeline, puts Sasuke on a revenge quest. Sasuke eventually recovers from the genjutsu, and he goes on to slaughter the grass elders who mistreated both his and Karin's mom. News of a red-haired Sharingan user reaches Konoha, which causes a commotion among the elders. Sasuke, on the other hand, the realization hits him and his trauma doubles. The grass village killed his Uzumaki side, and the leaf village killed his Uchiha side. He doesn't just want to kill Itachi, unaware that they're even brothers. He wants to tear down the entire Shinobi system itself. Now, before we continue, we have to talk about how Sasuke's absence will affect some of the arcs in the entire show. For starters, Team 7 would be way different. Both Sakura and Naruto would still end up as members. However, since Sasuke wouldn't be present, his replacement would most likely be Ino Yamanaka, who in the original timeline was the top-ranked student in the class after Sasuke. This change would be very fatal during the Land of Waves arc. This is where things get really interesting. When Team 7 faces Zabuza and Haku, Kakashi decides to take on Zabuza while leaving Haku to fight Naruto, Ino, and Sakura. Without Sasuke, the battle is much more fierce. Haku easily defeats Sakura and Ino, leaving only Naruto. Naruto, seeing two of his friends unconscious, immediately unlocks his Kyuubi mode, boosting his speed and strength by a whole lot. And just like in the original timeline, he takes Haku out. The rest of the arc plays pretty much the same, with Haku and Zabuza eventually dying, but both Sakura and Ino sustaining major injuries. From here, the next arc would be the Forest of Death arc. However, since Orochimaru has Sasuke under his arm, he wouldn't have any reason to attack Team 7. This means that the 5-element seal he put on Naruto never happens in this version of the story. Everything from there goes pretty much the same as the original timeline up until the Chunin exams. Here's where things take a massive turn. Just like before, Naruto would end up fighting with Kiba. Sakura, on the other hand, would be different. Since Ino is a part of Team 7, Sakura would have to fight either of the two possible candidates, Hinata or Kensuchi. However, Sakura would lose on both occasions. You see, against Hinata, Sakura is at a massive disadvantage. While Hinata got bullied by Neji in the original timeline, making her seem weak, she's actually a very proficient user of the Byakugan, and she's also a trained martial artist. Sakura, at this stage of the story, is basically a textbook ninja with high intelligence but zero combat specialized techniques. Hinata's gentle fist targets the chakra network. One poke to Sakura's shoulder or chest would shut down her ability to mold chakra, ending the fight instantly. Sakura doesn't have the speed or the power to get past Hinata's defense. And as for Kensuchi, she still loses. Ken mostly specializes in genjutsu, and while Sakura is very good at countering genjutsu and does excellent chakra control, meaning she might see through Ken's tricks faster than others, like Shikamaru did in the original timeline, she lacks the power to cause any damage, because, as we have to remember, Ken was a ruthless sound ninja who fought in the Forest of Death with intent to kill. Sakura's only move at the time was basic substitution or a standard kunai strike. Ken wins this fight with mid-difficulty. Now, I know that the Sakura fans in the comments aren't going to be happy about this, but remember, this is Chunin exam Sakura we're talking about, and is significantly weaker than Shippuden Sakura, who trained under Tsunade. So, Sakura loses in this timeline, unlike in the original, where she drew her fight with Ino. Meanwhile, Naruto defeats Kiba. Just like before, he proceeds to train with Jiraiya for 4 weeks. However, since Orochimaru never put the seal on him, his training is way smoother and faster. After training, he faces Neji, and just like before, defeats him while using Talk no Jutsu to destroy his ideology. Now, because Sakura isn't present, Naruto would most likely have to face Gaara in the finals. With Naruto already hating Gaara for what he did to Rock Lee, this fight is personal. The battle starts, and right off the bat, Naruto is at a massive disadvantage. In the original timeline, Sasuke's Chidori was the only thing that could pierce Gaara's ultimate defense. Without that kind of an attack, Naruto would be forced to use Gamabunta right in the middle of the stadium. This would cause massive damage to the arena. This massive commotion and structural collapse is the absolute perfect opportunity for Orochimaru to initiate his Konoha Crush plan and attack the third Hokage. He immediately comes out of his disguise as the fourth Kazekage, taking Hiruzen hostage, and attacks. He takes him to the highest roof, where his elite guard, Sasuke, Kimimaro, Tayuya, Kidomaru, Jirobo, Sakon, and Ukon, quickly create the Four Flames formation barrier. Everything here plays out exactly the same as in the original. The tragic battle ensues, and Orochimaru successfully kills his old master Hiruzen, but not before the third Hokage uses the Reaper Death Seal to seal the Sannin's arms away, robbing him of all his jutsu. Seeing their master crippled, the Sound Six break the barrier and flee the village scene immediately. Naruto, seeing Gaara leave the crumbling arena, chases him deep into the forest. The monumental fight goes the same, with Naruto eventually beating Gaara, summoning Gamabunta Punta again and shifting the Sand Jinchuriki towards the light of friendship. From here, everything in the timeline goes surprisingly smooth for the Leaf. Since Sasuke isn't in the Konoha village to defect, the entire Sasuke retrieval arc simply never happens. Neji doesn't almost die, Choji doesn't eat the red pill, and Shikamaru doesn't have his first failure as a commander. This also means that the legendary rain-soaked Naruto and Sasuke fight at the final valley doesn't happen either. After the dust settles, the 3-year time skip begins. Naruto goes on to travel and train extensively under Jiraiya, leaving Ino and Sakura back in the village to hone their own skills. Now, one key thing to mention is since Sasuke wouldn't be in Team 7, the dynamics between Sakura and Naruto would be slightly different than in the original timeline. Since Sakura won't be a hopeless Sasuke simp, she would begin to see Naruto in the same way she saw Sasuke as in the original timeline. Now, just like before, the 3-year time skip comes to an end. Naruto, after training with Jiraiya, is significantly stronger, and the same goes for Sasuke. During the time skip, he trained profusely, training his Sharingan to the absolute limit, and using his cursed mark to awaken his 3 Tomoe Sharingan, preparing for his war against his brother. However, it is at this time that Orochimaru's real intentions begin to kick in. Here, Orochimaru, just like in the original timeline, would try to take over Sasuke's body, but instead of a mental clash of sheer visual prowess that occurred in the original timeline, something far more instinctive takes over. Sasuke's Uzumaki blood awakens, triggering the adamantine sealing chains within his own subconscious. Orochimaru isn't merely pushed back, he's bound, completely, permanently shackled to Sasuke's very soul. In that moment, Sasuke doesn't just resist the Sannin, he becomes his prison. Because an Uzumaki body possesses massive vitality, Sasuke's biology doesn't reject Orochimaru, it completely consumes him. This creates the perfect biology. Sasuke gains the Hydra form and regenerative abilities without needing to weave signs, boosting his abilities astronomically, becoming a self-healing Uchiha with near infinite chakra reserves. But that is not all, because by absorbing Orochimaru entirely, Sasuke inherits the Sound Village's alpha status. With Karin and the fiercely loyal Sound 5, he now has his own Team 7 put on steroids. Kabuto, witnessing this, becomes completely obsessed. Instead of trying to surpass Orochimaru, he turns into an absolute fangirl over Sasuke's biological evolution, seeing him as the peak of human perfection. Kabuto willingly harvests Sasuke's modified donor cells, which serve as the vital missing link to completely perfect the Edo Tensei Jutsu much earlier than before. With Sasuke achieving this newfound power, he travels to the Ryuchi cave to seek out the White Snake Sage. Thanks to his immense chakra reserves, he effortlessly survives the snake's venomous bite and learns perfect snake sage mode. His skin becomes as durable as white dragon scales, and his crimson Uzumaki hair glows with potent, natural energy. The Sound Six, guided by their new godlike leader, evolved from Orochimaru's elite guards into a unified team of terrifying S-rank terrorists. Because Sasuke's Uzumaki blood perfectly synthesized with Orochimaru's research, his blood acts as a literal living panacea. He gives his blood to Kimimaro, completely curing his terminal bone illness. Kimimaro, now operating in his absolute prime without coughing up blood, becomes the ultimate unstoppable shield of the Sound, capable of sprouting massive, indestructible bone forests that can cover and impale entire cities in seconds. Meanwhile, Karin, inspired by Sasuke, fully develops her own Uzumaki clan's adamantine attacking chains. She acts as the ultimate battlefield support, capable of completely restraining even fully trained tailed beasts from the backline. Tayuya, Hiromaru, Sakon, Ukon, and Jirobo all receive massive power amps as well. They no longer fight as squabbling individuals. They become an unstoppable 6-man cell that can take down entire platoons of Jonin without breaking a sweat. From here onward, everything plays pretty much the same as in the original timeline. The Kazekage rescue arc happens with Granny Chiyo and Sakura defeating Sasori. The terrifying, immortal Akatsuki duo, Hidan and Kakuzu, still cross into the Land of Fire and tragically kill Asuma. And, most heartbreakingly of all, Jiraiya still infiltrates the Hidden Rain village to uncover the Akatsuki leader and dies a heroic death at the hands of Pain, leaving Naruto completely devastated and pushing him to travel to Mount Myoboku to learn Toad Sage Mode to avenge his master. But while Naruto is mourning his godfather, Sasuke is making his move. The time has finally come for Sasuke to hunt down and face Itachi Uchiha. However, in this timeline, the fight goes completely, drastically differently. When Sasuke kicks down the doors of the Uchiha hideout and faces Itachi, he's way deadlier. He enters the fight already enveloped in his perfect snake sage mode. His skin is as thick and durable as dragon scales, his crimson hair is glowing with raw natural energy, and his physical speed is incomprehensible to a normal Sharingan user. Itachi, who is already half-blind and suffering heavily from his terminal respiratory illness, simply cannot keep up with a perfect sage who also boasts Uzumaki chakra reserves. When Itachi casts Amaterasu, Sasuke easily shreds his skin using Orochimaru's body replacement technique. When Itachi uses Tsukuyomi, the natural energy of Sage Mode disrupts the chakra flow, breaking the illusion. Seeing no other way, Itachi is forced to use Susanoo much earlier in the fight, but Sasuke completely and utterly overwhelms his older brother. He pummels through the Susanoo's ribcage with raw, sage-enhanced physical strength. The fight ends much sooner than in the original timeline. Because Sasuke effortlessly defeats him so quickly, Itachi is never pushed to the absolute brink of his stamina, which means Itachi drops dead from his illness and injuries before he ever gets the chance to draw out the 8-headed serpent and forcefully remove Orochimaru's cursed seal. Sasuke retains all of Orochimaru's power, leaving the Sannin fully bound to his soul. As Itachi falls dead to the floor, Obito, still operating under the guise of Madara Uchiha, passes through the wall, intercepts the exhausted Sasuke, and takes him away to his secret laboratory. Once Sasuke wakes up, Obito reveals the dark, twisted, and horrifying truth about the Uchiha massacre. He reveals that Danzo, Shimura, and the Leaf Elders used Itachi as a disposable pawn to do their dirty work. But Obito doesn't stop there. He tells Sasuke the most agonizing truth of all, how much Itachi truly loved him. He explains how Itachi would secretly cross the grass border just to watch over him, how he would play with him in the woods and gently poke his forehead before painfully erasing his memories just to keep him safe. Hearing this, the mental blocks in Sasuke's mind finally crack. Slight, blurry memories suddenly flood back into his head. A warm smile, a gentle voice, 2 fingers softly tapping on his forehead. The realization completely breaks him. In this timeline, because of Sasuke's unique, tortured upbringing, he doesn't just want to kill Danzo because of the clan massacre. He wants to kill him out of pure, unadulterated rage for how Danzo used the only brother who truly loved him as a political tool for his own selfish, warmongering goals, mirroring exactly how the Grass Village used his mother. Fueled by this fiery new hatred, Sasuke accepts Obito's dark offer of help. Obito surgically merges Itachi's Mangekyo eyes into Sasuke's sockets, allowing him to finally unlock the eternal light of the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. With his new eyes, Sasuke, alongside the Sound 5, officially joins the Akatsuki, and his first major mission for Obito is to travel to the Land of Lightning to capture the 8-Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee. But unlike in the original timeline, where Team Taka struggled massively, got their chests caved in, and almost died multiple times, this is an absolute embarrassing, complete wash. Backed by the immensely powerful Sound 5, Sasuke effortlessly defeats Killer Bee. With Bee completely immobilized, Sasuke simply walks up, paralyzes him with a powerful Sharingan Genjutsu, and captures him perfectly without shedding a single drop of blood. Because of this single, flawlessly executed event, everything changes for Naruto's progression. Since Killer Bee is actually captured successfully, and his tailed beast is extracted by the Akatsuki statue, Bee dies. He never goes to the island turtle to hide. This means that Naruto never meets Bee. He never travels to the island turtle, and most importantly, he never confronts his inner darkness at the Waterfall of Truth like he did in the original timeline. And because he never overcomes the inner darkness of his childhood hatred, or gets Bee's vital guidance on how to speak to his tailed beast, Naruto never learns KCM-1. He's permanently stuck using only his Toad Sage Mode. Meanwhile, seeing his plans accelerating, Obito decides he's done playing games in the shadows. He uses Kamui to teleport directly to the Hidden Rain Village, confronting a weakened Pain after his fight with Naruto. He doesn't wait for Nagato's slow, peace-oriented plans to unfold. Obito ruthlessly slaughters Nagato in cold blood, taking the Rinnegan for himself, immediately after securing the eyes. While Konoha burns to the ground, the 5 Kage summit takes place in the snowy Land of Iron. Sasuke and the Sound 5 violently infiltrate the samurai stronghold, causing massive, irreparable damage to the building. With his EMS, perfect Snake Sage Mode, and near-infinite Uzumaki chakra fueling his Susanoo, Sasuke completely dominates the room. He doesn't struggle against the Raikage or Onoki. He easily swats away their attacks, tracking down his true target, Danzo. He traps Danzo on the bridge, and the fight is an absolute massacre. Sasuke absolutely eviscerates him, breaking through Izanagi repeatedly with zero fatigue, ultimately ending Danzo's life to avenge his brother Itachi's stained honor. As Sasuke departs the blood-stained summit, he is suddenly met by a desperate Naruto, who tracked him down using Sage Mode. Now remember, they do not know each other. There's no desperate plea of Sasuke, come back to the village. There's no broken brotherly bond. They are complete and utter strangers. But when they lock eyes in the freezing snow, they both feel a deep, resonant spiritual pull. When Naruto looks at Sasuke, he sees a terrifying, dark mirror of himself. Both are Uzumakis. Both are outcasts. Both are orphans who lost absolutely everything they loved to the cruel Shinobi system. But while Naruto chose to seek love, acceptance, and the title of Hokage to mend his pain, Sasuke chose to build a throne of absolute power and bloody vengeance. Naruto tries to use his famous talk no jutsu, trying desperately to connect with the stranger who shares his vibrant red hair and bloodline. It fails completely. Sasuke looks down at him with cold, dead eyes and coldly explains how fundamentally unfair the world is and how only the strong get to dictate what is right. The ideological clash turns physical, but the power gap is immense. Naruto, only having Toad Sage mode and still heavily burdened by his unresolved inner darkness affecting his chakra, is absolutely no match for an EMS Sage. Sasuke defeats Naruto effortlessly, beating him bloody into the snow. Sasuke leaves him gasping for air with a cold, final warning to stay out of his way, or he will kill him. And just like that, the fourth great ninja war finally begins, but without KCM Naruto. It's an absolute massacre for the Shinobi Alliance. Because Itachi and Naruto never met or bonded over their shared goal of saving Sasuke, Itachi never secretly gave Naruto the crow implanted with Shisui's eye Kotoama Tsukami, which in the original timeline was used by Itachi to break the Edo Tensei. During the brutal war, when the Edo Tensei Itachi is revived on the battlefield, he's absolutely no way to break free from Kabuto's control. There's no one to track down Kabuto and call off the Edo Tensei. Kabuto's reanimated army, which has been biologically perfected by Sasuke's superior Uzumaki Uchiha donor cells, is completely unstoppable, wiping out entire divisions of the Alliance. Eventually, the fated final battle happens. Naruto and Sasuke clash one last time on the blood-soaked, barren battlefield of the war. Naruto fights with everything he has, pushing his Toad Sage mode to its absolute breaking limit, desperately trying to stop this S-rank terrorist from destroying the world. But without the Nine-Tails chakra mode, without Kurama's cooperation, and without ever conquering his own darkness, the power gap is just too massive to overcome. Sasuke doesn't hesitate. With a cold, emotionless thrust of his Chidori-infused blade, he pierces straight through Naruto's heart. He doesn't feel the crushing emotional weight of killing a best friend. He just eliminates an obstacle standing in his way. Naruto Uzumaki, the child of prophecy, dies on the battlefield. During the sheer bloodshed, the carnage of the war, and the spiritual shockwave of killing the reincarnation of Ashura, Sasuke pushes his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan to the absolute breaking point. Because he is a perfect, flawless biological hybrid, already possessing both Indra's chakra from his Uchiha lineage and Ashura's chakra from his pure Uzumaki lineage, his chakras naturally mix. He doesn't need a magical handout from the Sage of Six Paths. He awakens the legendary Purple Rinnegan naturally, becoming a true second Sage of Six Paths. But despite all of this godlike power, it simply doesn't matter. With the Shinobi Alliance decimated and Naruto dead, Madara Uchiha easily succeeds in his plan. The moon turns a terrifying blood red, and the infinite Tsukuyomi is successfully cast across the entire globe. Everyone, from the Kage to the Sound 5, gets trapped in the blinding white light, locked into a permanent dream state. Black Zetsu, waiting for this exact moment, betrays Madara, violently plunging his hand through Madara's chest. Madara swells with uncontrollable chakra, and Kaguya Otsutsuki, the rabbit goddess, is reborn into the world. Sasuke, the very last man standing, tries to fight her. He uses his Rinnegan, his Susanoo, and his Uzumaki chains. But without Naruto there to help him seal her, without the combined yin and yang seals granted by Hagoromo, it's a complete, futile, hopeless effort. Kaguya is an immortal, dimension-shifting alien. She easily deflects his attacks and defeats Sasuke, striking him down and absorbing his massive chakra before the battle even truly begins. Years turn into decades. The trapped shinobi of the world slowly get drained of their chakra, their physical bodies swallowed and cocooned by the suffocating pale roots of the massive god tree. As their memories, dreams, and individuality slowly fade into nothingness over the centuries, humanity undergoes a horrific biological metamorphosis, transforming entirely into an army of mindless, pale white Zetsu. This was always the true, horrifying purpose of the infinite Tsukuyomi, not to create a world of dreams, but to serve as a massive biological factory to harvest troops. The final shot of the timeline is Kaguya Otsutsuki. Her immortal army is finally ready. She sits completely alone on her throne, waiting patiently for the inevitable arrival of Momoshiki and Kinshiki. Thanks for watching this video! Make sure you like and subscribe, and click on this video next for more great anime content! Go on, check it out!